So as promised, here is Shove It, the warehouse game. One reason I really like this game so much, I think, has to do with how I found out about this game. I don't know if you guys remember Captain S. Captain S was a character in these old web episodes way back when like the Angry Video Game Nerd or the Angry Nintendo, the Angry Nintendo Nerd was starting off. I also remember watching Captain S, and Captain S was this character who was obsessed with Sega video games, and he had an imagination where he always kind of found his real life situations getting stuck in a video game. It was a pretty neat little show. If you've never seen it, maybe look up Captain S and see what comes up. But one of the episodes he did was, of course, an episode based on this game, Shove It. And of course it's the warehouse game. So in the episode, you know, he was this guy working in a warehouse, moving around boxes. And about a week later, this is like so odd, a week later I went into this little shop that sells just miscellaneous used stuff, and they have a really small video game selection. And out of the few Sega Genesis games he had this, and he also had Mickey Mania. So it was way back when I picked up Mickey Mania, which is also a great Genesis game. But yeah, like I said, I haven't seen this since. You know, so I just randomly stumbled across this. I have never seen it, you know, even loose in the wild since. So I'm not too sure how rare of a game this is, but it's definitely not a common one. Yeah, so basically it's this puzzle game. Look at this cartridge. It's like the worst looking cartridge I've ever seen. It's almost not even color. Only the words Shove It is in red. If I saw this loose, I would probably never have bought it. If not for the fact, like I said, I saw this Captain S episode, and then I stumbled across it. But definitely a very lame looking cartridge. Horrible cartridge art. No thought put into that whatsoever. But yeah, anyways, let's check out the game and I'll explain it there. Alright, so this is Shove It, the warehouse game. And, well, as you can see, this isn't the best graphics, and as you can hear, definitely not the best music on the Sega Genesis, but, you know, you buy this game for the puzzles. This is a very challenging puzzle game. And, right away, if you're sort of trying to figure out what's going on, maybe you're thinking this looks familiar. Yeah, there's probably a lot of different puzzle games with, you know, different themes, or, you know, change the graphics around and you could have, you know, a different game, but it's basically the same kind of puzzle game. So here you're in a warehouse, you play as this guy named Steve Dorr. I don't know if his first name is Steve and his last name is Dorr, because there's no space in the manual, it just says Steve Dorr. Which makes no sense, but anyways, you're playing in this warehouse, and what makes this so hard is the fact you can only push the boxes. You can't pull the boxes. So I'm already screwed right here, because you can't pull the boxes. Once they're up against the wall, and you can't get around them to the other side, you're screwed. You have to be able to get behind the box to push the box. You can only push the box. You can't pull the box. So this is a game that looks really easy. When you first look at this game, you're like laughing. You're like, this is so easy. There's really only so many moves you can do. You can only push these boxes. There's only 4. Well, here there's 4 boxes on the screen. If you haven't figured it out, you got to push each one of the boxes onto one of those white dots on the floor. So there's 4, white dots, and there's 4 boxes. You got to get 1 box onto each of the white dots. But like I said, you can only push the box. So you've got to think about how you can get to the boxes. That might mean you have to do, 1 box first. And even here, like, now you got to figure that it's also the order that you place the boxes on the white dots. The fact you can only push the boxes makes this game so much harder than it looks. But it's really fun. I mean, I like these kind of puzzle games. I'm definitely not a pro at them by any means, but I like to think I'm pretty decent at them. And yeah, as you can see here, we're on stage 1, room, I think it was 6. Let's see here. Okay, we're only on room 5 now. But there's 160 rooms in this game, so it gets much, much more challenging. And some of these you think they're pretty easy, and then you realize you're already screwed because you can't push this box up. Now on to room 11, we'll fast forward a little bit here. As you can see, the graphic style has changed. It's actually zoomed out now, so everything's smaller, and now we got a lot more boxes on the screen. I just brought up the menu there to restart, which I should probably mention. At any time, you can go back 1 step, sort of like an undo button. So if you accidentally push a box, you can undo that. You can always undo, but only 1 step back. And you can redo the level at any time. And, you can redo the level as many times as you want. Now here's another example, is that first this looks really hard, only because there's a lot of more boxes all of a sudden. And then you realize, okay, it's actually not that hard, it's pretty easy. Just be careful not to push a box, into a place where you can't get it back. So you start filling up the room. You got, I don't know how many boxes are here, 10 boxes or something. And as you can see, there's only, 2 entrances to the room where you've got to fill the boxes. And what's hard about this level is the order that you put the boxes away in. And actually, I'm going to fast forward here to show you that I do get to a point where I think I've got this level beat. Let's see if I can get there. And just because of the fact I filled the 6 on the right first, you can't now get behind the boxes to move them over to the left in this room. And if you fill the one in the top right corner, then you can't get above to push the one down in the bottom left corner. It becomes a freaking nightmare. You got to figure out the exact pattern to how you put the boxes into this room, and once again, it's harder than it looks. Everything in this game is harder than it looks, and that's, I think, what most of you will like about it. It's just one of those mind-boggling kind of puzzles. And like I said, it's definitely been done before. I've got a game on my Android phone that's sort of similar. It's not exactly the same rules, but I've seen a game on I can't remember if that was on the Super Nintendo, where you're moving cars, which is kind of similar, but they can move back. You can move the cars forward and back. So there's a lot of puzzle games like that. It's the fact that you can only push the boxes forward is what really makes this one way the hell harder than it needs to be. And I think that's why I love this game. So here's another perfect example. We're on room 13 now, and after that huge room with like 15 boxes, this one looks so easy. I saw this and I was like, how can this be a later level? This looks so easy. It looks ridiculously easy. You can only push the boxes. There's like 5 boxes in this teeny little room. How many possibilities can there be? And yet this took me like 6 tries to figure it out. It's so much harder than it looks. because you can only push the boxes, and you've got to think the exact order, and you can't get the boxes trapped. It's so easy to push a box and then realize that it's trapped because you can't get it where you need it to go now. And yeah, I just love this game. Like I said, there's 160 levels in this game. There are 160 rooms. And if you get bored of that, you can actually make your own rooms. It's got like a basic editor. And actually making your own levels is just as hard as beating the levels that are in the game, because you have to think of where you can actually place the boxes, and you can easily make a level that's unbeatable because you put the box in the wrong spot. So that's kind of cool too. And like I said, overall it's a pretty unique puzzle game on the Genesis. I think it's definitely worth picking up if you like this kind of a puzzle game. I mean, it's definitely not for everyone, but it's pretty good nonetheless.